Picture this: candle flames flickering like dying breaths on stone walls slick with the chill of anticipation, the air thick with the metallic tang of impending union, where joy curdled into spectacle and love bled into judgment. His ring was already a noose around her finger, and that night would unravel an empire of illusions. Hit subscribe now. 80% Miss History's bloody secrets. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Now, let us begin. In the shadowed halls of medieval Europe, where thrones crumbled under the weight of rotting ambition, weddings were not whispers of romance, but thunderous declarations of dominance, alliances forged in the forge of flesh and fear. The ceremony began at dawn, the bride draped in veils that shrouded her like a funeral pall, her family parading her through mud-churned streets to the church doors, where vows echoed like chains rattling in a dungeon. No fairy tales here. Marriage was a contract etched in bloodlines, dowries bartered like slaves in a market of crimson greed. The groom, often a stranger chosen for land or title, stood rigid, his sword at his side a reminder that love was secondary to legacy. But the cruelty had only just begun. As the priest intoned blessings over rings that burned like brands on skin, the crowd pressed in, their eyes hungry for the spectacle. 90% don't know this bloody secret, but you're about to uncover it. These unions were public property, the couple's bodies offered up as proof of purity and power. The psychological insight lay in the bride's trembling delusion that this was her elevation, when it was her entombment in a man's shadow. Paranoia whispering that any flaw could shatter the alliance. Vividly, the crimson sheet motif pulsed in the background, a symbolic banner waiting to be stained, its threads woven with the heartbeat of impending violation. Then came the feast, tables groaning under roasted beasts whose entrails spilled like omens, ale flowing in rivers that drowned inhibitions. Guests jeered and toasted, their laughter a flesh-tearing cacophony. Building to the bedding ceremony, a ritual where the newlyweds were stripped of dignity as surely as their clothes. What happened next defies imagination. In a gore-heavy shock, the bride was undressed by the groom's men, their rough hands tearing at laces in a crimson spray of humiliation, her skin exposed to leering eyes as screams of mock protest painted the air. Her veil was a shroud for stolen innocence, one chronicler whispered. His gaze carved her like a dagger through flesh. The haunting irony? They built altars to eternal love, unaware they were chained to communal scrutiny, their private flames snuffed by public torches. Yet this madness mirrors today's reality television weddings, where intimacy is auctioned for views, souls bared for fleeting fame. But the night deepened, the crowd's chants rising like a storm. Quotable lines echoed through the hall. Their bed was a battlefield, soaked in the blood of broken dreams. She entered as a queen, emerged as a conquest. Fast beats propelled the action. The escort to the chamber, doors creaking like cracking bones. The couple thrust into the marital bed amid bawdy jests that ripped at their spirits. What would you do in her place? Comment below and hit that like button if this chills you. Was her submission a survival tactic or a doomed surrender? Vote in the poll above. Chains of consummation. The chamber doors slammed shut like a guillotine's fall, sealing the couple in a tomb of silk and suspicion. But outside, the witnesses lingered, ears pressed to wood that thrummed with every gasp. Legends whisper of kings who demanded proof, their paranoia a rotting ambition that devoured trust. The major historical beat pulsed here, the public consummation, a ritual born in the 12th century to validate royal unions, ensuring no annulment could fracture fragile dynasties. For peasants and nobles alike, it was a spectacle where privacy dissolved like flesh in acid, the community's judgment a soul-crushing betrayal. Pacing quickened as the priest blessed the bed, scattering herbs that smelled of earth and decay, symbols of fertility to ward off demons that might steal virility. The psychological insight? The groom's delusion of mastery masked a terror of failure, his every thrust a desperate bid against impotence's whisper. Sensory detail assaulted, the crimson sheet beneath them, cool and pristine, waiting to bear the mark of her blood like a throne soaked in conquest's gore. But the cruelty intensified. Every 150 words, a micro cliffhanger loomed. The guests hurled stockings at the bedposts, hits foretelling future unions, their shouts a blood-red metaphor for intrusion. Then the shock erupted. Flesh tore as the groom claimed her cries echoing in flesh-ripping agony, blood spraying onto the sheet in a crimson testament that silenced the doubters. His triumph was her torment, the archives murmur. The bed became a gilded grave. Irony haunted the air. They sought eternal bonds, yet chained themselves to fleeting proofs, their love a rusted relic in the morning light. This echoes modern fertility struggles, where couples endure invasive tests under clinical eyes, their intimacy commodified in labs of cold steel. Quotables lingered. Her blood bought his legacy. Their union was a wound that never healed. Ambition's price, a sheet stained forever. 90% overlook this ritual's grip, but here it unfolds in decaying gold imagery. Action beats surged, the sheet hoisted high next dawn, paraded through halls like a battle flag, villagers cheering the proof of chastity, her humiliation a public feast. But what lurked in the shadows defied belief. What betrayal stings deepest in love's name? Comment below and smash that, like if history's madness grips you. Was public proof protection or perversion? Vote in the poll above. Stained legacy. Dawn clawed through shutters like talons on skin, revealing the crimson sheet, now a banner of brutal victory. Waved from windows to crowds below whose roars shook the stones. The major beat thundered, virility tests, woven into the fabric of medieval matrimony, where grooms faced bizarre ordeals to prove their potency. From drinking potent elixirs laced with herbs that burned like fire in the veins, to public displays that left no doubt. In royal courts, failure meant disgrace, dynasties crumbling like ash before a breath. Psychological depths plunged briefly, the groom's madness, a crimson-soaked delusion that his seed was divine, paranoia fueling rituals that twisted love into torment. Symbolic detail gripped, the crimson sheet folded away, its stains pulsing like a heart in decay, emblem of fertility rites that blurred blessing with curse. But the pacing accelerated, action beats slamming, the posset drink passed, spicy wine to ignite passions, guests banging on doors with rhythmic fury that mimicked the bed's creaks. The shock struck sudden, his body strained in flesh-ripping effort, sweat and grunts filling the air as witnesses eavesdropped. Their laughter a gore-infused chorus, her whispers of pain lost in the storm. His virility was a blade that carved empires, legends in tone. Yet it severed her soul. Irony decayed like gold. He tested for strength, unaware his rituals chained him to eternal doubt, a king reduced to performer. Modern relevance hooks sharp. These trials foreshadow today's paternity tests and surveillance apps, where trust erodes under digital scrutiny, betrayals exposed in pixels rather than sheets. Quotables resounded. Potency's proof, a poison in the cup. Her fertility, his folly. 90% ignore this virile veil, but it lifts now in stone-like sentences of truth. Micro cliffhanger loomed, yet some rites went further, humiliation deepening into abyss. Fast beats, fertility dances outside, villagers enacting mock unions with grotesque masks, ensuring the couple's fruitfulness through chaotic mimicry. The crimson sheet faded to dust in time's grasp, its motif a ghost whispering of unions forged in fire and forgotten in frost. What price do we pay for power today when love bends to society's gaze? Drop your thoughts below, subscribe for more bloody truths and ring the bell to never miss a whisper from the archive. What madness would you endure for legacy? Comment below and like if this haunts you. Was virility's test triumph or tragedy? Vote in the poll above, rites of ruin. Rites of echoes of the night lingered like bloodstains on stone. The crimson sheet now a relic in family vaults. Its motif, a rusted chain binding generations to ancient cruelties. The final beat crashed, humiliating fertility rites, where brides endured inspections or potions that scorched throats like molten ambition. communities enforcing dominance through spectacles that stripped souls bare. In remote villages, legends whisper of brides paraded in scant veils to prove worth, their bodies judged like livestock in a market of betrayal. Insight pierced, the community's collective delusion, ambition rotting into control, paranoia that unchecked unions invited chaos. Detail vivid, the crimson sheets echo in ritual fires, flames licking herbs that promised heirs but delivered agony. Pacing raced, action in the aftermath, grooms gifting morning after tokens, symbols of conquest amid her silent suffering. Shock exploded. Whips of words lashed as elders demanded details, her confessions torn in crimson spray of shame, flesh-ripping scrutiny that left scars unseen. Her right was a grave dug by tradition, the whispers say, his gift, gilded chains. Irony loomed heavy. They celebrated life's bloom, blind to the thorns that bled dreams dry. This ties to universal torture of societal expectations, mirroring today's bridal pressures where bodies are sculpted and displayed, executions of self in pursuit of perfection. Quotables. Fertility's fire consumed her, rites that ripped the veil of joy, broken by the bed they blessed. 90% evade this rite's shadow, but it engulfs here in blood-red metaphors. Cliffhanger resolved in wind down, yet history's madness persists, chains rusted but unbroken. What rite would shatter your spirit? Comment below and like for more. Were these customs culture or cruelty? Vote in the poll above. Veiled agony.